Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Don Bird Morning Show. The mic is hot, family. I want to welcome you right here. I'm your host, Don Bird. I am live from Birdhouse Riverside, where we don't just talk, we build. Every morning is about finishing your last 1%, guys, and putting structure where you've been drifting. Let's lock in. Listen, guys, I am here in my own last 1%. Listen, we are striving to the finish. Listen, we are working so hard. Like I told you, we got the nonprofit organization popping off. We are structuring, we are building, we are organizing, and we are making sure that you are involved, making sure we stay in touch, making sure we stay grounded. Listen, I want to let you know we are right here. Are you on rhythm, guys? I want to know what your rhythm is like for the week. All right? Are you on structure or are you drifting? All right, drop your wins in the chat, guys. I want to know. I really do want to know what's going on with you. I am here on a Thursday morning. We are ready to go, guys. I love being live on TV. It is a very cool experience, guys. I wish I had 1 million people watching. It'd be even more fun. The chat would be percolating and everybody would be talking about the show, but it doesn't matter because it's our show. We're here. I'm your host. I'm here. And we are getting it going, guys. We are getting it going good. We got a lot planned for you today, guys. I wish I could tell you about everything, but you know what? I can. You know what I can do? I can tell you what's going on. I can tell you what's happening in the birdhouse. Listen, it's a busy day always in the birdhouse, guys. And our cannon drop for the day. Let's take a look at what we have. Listen, guys, don't overplay your hand. Don't overplay your hand. Always play appropriately, conservatively, cautiously, guys. Stop going all in on things you haven't studied, all right? What's one major move you made in your life, right, before you truly understood the game? I'll tell you one major move everybody tries to make is out here playing in this economic arena and not understanding how to manage their wealth and understanding the game of capitalism. Thank God for Monopoly. Thank God for Monopoly, guys, because we all got a quick crash course in what it is to be an entrepreneur, what it is to be in a capitalistic system at an early age, guys. This was before the realm and before the era of on-demand TV. Everybody had access to every show, everything that, you know. It's amazing when I think about what we used to do to pass the time, and Monopoly was one of those things, guys. Pinochle was another one of those things. I talk about Pinochle. My parents loved playing Pinochle, and it's like, they taught me how to play. And then I learned how to play spades. And of course, I learned how to play poker, guys. That's where I got a lot of my understanding, my knowledge from. But I digress. Listen, don't overplay your hand, guys. This segment, I love talking about this cannon because it is important in every arena. It is important in every single arena. Employment, right? Your work, your professional career, business, your educational career, your relationships, your money, your games, your betting, all right? It is so important. Don't overplay your hand, guys. Don't overcommit before you've done the work, all right? We like I said, we can frame this through anything: poker, investing, career moves, all right? The idea is that people in general often bet their entire futures on things like a house, a job, a person that they truly haven't learned about. They don't know about this person, this thing, right? Now, the idea of patience and skill building and knowing when to fold and knowing when to push forward, right? Example, taking a job without knowing the culture, moving and uprooting your life to a new city without researching that city and researching that company before you go and do that. Or a house that you've only gone to see twice. Have you gone there at 6 o'clock on Friday night? Do you know what it's like on the weekends? No, you've only gone there on 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night or 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Have you gone there when it rains? No. So you haven't done the appropriate level of research that you might need to do before you go and put your whole life savings and your whole credit on a house. You got to think about it like that. Most people think they're only going to be in a house. Oh, I'll be here for 5 or 7 years. Yeah, 14, 15 years later, you're still in the same house. You think it's a starter home and it's your forever home. You better understand it like that. Same thing with a job. Oh, I'll only be here 3 years. Yeah, 15 years later, you're still there. And you better figure out what you're going to do about that, right? So anyway, as we move on, guys, listen, no need to harp on it. Don't overplay your hand. Do the research, do the work. Get to know what you're betting on before you put your money in the pot, all right? So, guys, as we move on today, we are talking about execution. Everything in the Bird brand is about execution these days, guys. Execution, economics, all right? We got so much happening, guys. And what I want to know what execution looks like for you today. For me, like I said, it's always surrounding lifestyle, my operating systems, my wealth operating system, the masculine operating system. So many operating systems that we have, the Second Life operating system. So I want you to start to get involved and understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how it makes sense, right? Lifestyle OS is the operating system for your daily rhythm. If you don't run your day, it'll run you. And it ultimately comes down to structure, right? Anchors, rituals. They keep you moving forward no matter what distractions come your way. Listen, this is so important. And when I think about structure, immediately I think about Wealth OS. Wealth OS, listen, finance and your life isn't just numbers. You think economics is just numbers. No. It is so much more, guys. It really is structure, guys. Most people think they're broke, but they're really just unstructured. And Wealth OS helps you organize your money into buckets and prioritize and focus on building your legacy, guys. Masculine OS. We are going to do so much talking about Masculine OS. I'm dropping videos every day, guys. I'm live on the air. I want you to get involved. There's nothing else to do but get involved, guys. One day you're going to be face up looking at a church and you won't be able to get involved in anything but some, grass and dirt. But so use this opportunity in your life to get involved in the things that are going to enhance your life and enhance your legacy. All right. I'm rolling, guys, because here we are hopping on to the next segment. I'm always calling to the men to jump in. Excuse me. And as I talk about what men means, masculine energy necessary, I think about men for freedom, and I think about masculine energy as being necessary for freedom. And we have an acronym that freedom stands for. We got 4 F's in freedom, right? Faith, finance, family, fitness, guys. And then respect, economics, entertainment, dating, offspring, marriage. Listen, we are going to talk about all those things. I want you to get involved in this show. Guys, I am so interested in doing, what we have going on here, guys. This is one of the most exciting things that I have to talk about every day. And yes, listen, the wealth that we are experiencing, guys, the gap, this scaffolding effect of wealth, that I want you to really start to understand how these things are structured, because you have to understand it in that way, right? You have to truly start to understand what we're talking about I'm looking for my notes as we get started here. Oh, here they are. Right? Because I want to talk about a lot of things today. And we're going to use this time to do that. And really, when you think about money and the wealth that we're talking about and the scaffolding effect that we have been talking about, the part that makes wealth stick. Black families often create wealth, but without scaffolding, institutional, generational, cultural scaffolding. Wealth is so fleeting, guys. We have to be able to lock it in. We don't have a head start and we don't have a cushion. Excuse me. Even when we have assets, guys, it is very hard to lock in legacy. That's what we are focused on. That's what we need to be focused on. Wealth created through work, guys, but captured by institutions because, well, we don't own the scaffolding. All the value that is kind of laying around, the excess value that we didn't capture in our paycheck but we created, it's not like it rolls up to you eventually. So they talk about trickle down, but here's the thing. Neither are true. Everything trickles up and nothing ever trickles down. So you think that wealth and prosperity are going to trickle down from wealthy people onto the masses of people. I'd love the same way the right wants to have these social wars and culture war debates on TV because you really can't respond to a lot of it because it's a lot of Looney Tunes stuff. The same way I want to have the debate from an economic perspective on TV because it's a lot of Looney Tunes stuff they're talking about. Trickle down economics does not work. It does not work. Think about it. They think that allowing rich people and wealthy corporations to make a lot of money and then have that money trickle down to the masses in the form of pay and jobs. First of all, there's no value and there's no equity that is captured there that accrues to you. That just means that you can get a steady paycheck from somebody that is locked in legacy and continues to make money hand over fist from your labor. I mean, it's the most unfair game and unfair exchange I've ever heard of in my life, guys, but we need language for it. We can't just keep yelling racism. We can't just keep yelling this isn't fair. We can't just keep yelling economic disparity because guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody understands that language and they've already basically neutralized it. But you have to start understanding value. We have to start understanding what equity means and not equity in the sense of I get what you get. Equity in the sense of what are we building? And that's why I wrote this book, guys, Revaluing America, because what are we building and what are we rewarding if we're not rewarding contribution, if we're not restoring dignity, and if we're not rebuilding the American dream? And when I think about the scaffolds of wealth, guys, we have to get there. Listen, I am sounding the alarm because, listen, you may not understand how serious this is, but if you don't have a wealth, an infrastructure of wealth to lock in your wealth for a legacy, then you just made a bunch of money for the moment. That money can be gone from you in your lifetime, let alone a generation. You may not see the end of the money to fruition or see it to the end. You better understand that. We got to get family scaffolding. All right. Weekly finance meetings. We're going to start that in our family, guys. Shared values and family rhythm. Community values and shared economics, guys. We are too far and too long down this road of not sharing our economic relationship with our neighbors, people that live in our zip code, people that live on our block. They may not be family members, but if we are as a community not interacting with each other economically, guys, that spells your own peril and doom. What do you think's going to happen if you aren't economically connected to your neighbors that live on your block, that live in your community, in your neighborhood? We don't understand economics enough. We're going to go over everything, guys. We got a lot to talk about today because I have time. All right, guys, we are rolling, and I need you to understand what we are doing. I need you to support. We have to understand what support looks like and what it means, guys, because I think we've lost our way, and I don't know where you guys think money is going to start rolling in from if we don't support each other. I really want to start asking these questions right here on this show. All right. Institutional scaffolding. Do we have institutions in our community that we know that work for us, that provide for us, that support and fill in the gaps for us in our community? If we don't, we're doing it wrong. We're doing it wrong, guys. We're doing it wrong. We have to understand that. All right. Generational scaffolding. Can you help your parents, and can your parents help you? Can you help your children? Is there wealth built in and established in your life, in your legacy, in your bloodline? These questions really need to be answered, guys. And then the cultural scaffolding, guys. It has to be more of a ritual than us getting together to watch the Super Bowl when the Eagles are in it, or getting together. The most ritualistic thing Black people do is get together for funerals. Sometimes I know my family or other families. I know there are people out here that only see certain family members when someone dies. So just think about it that way. Your ritual revolves around someone's death, someone's life in your family, right? Ending. That's literally the time that you're going to see certain people. There are no rituals, no traditions, no standards, no duty. And we have to get back to a state where that's true, or we're just going to see the fall of our society, certainly the fall of some of our families. Whereas though if we have rituals and traditions that we respect, and they don't even need to be religious, but it helps with when they are, we can stick together as a family and have a lot of purpose and meaning to what we're doing. So anyway, let's get up to we were talking about wealth scaffolding, and all money is not created equal, guys. And see, that's what we also need to do, and stop feeling a level of shame and a level of FOMO and a level of all these feelings that come up for us when we're dealing in these spaces that we want to be in, that we've strived to have access to and proximity to, but you don't realize you're playing in a game that you can't handle. The way I like to capture it so that we can take it away from ourselves is I think about the basketball player. Now, you're going to know one of these basketball players' names, right? I'm going to give you two basketball players. One is Antoine Walker. Depending on how old you are, you may not know that guy's name. If you're my age, that guy was one of the biggest basketball players in our era. I think he was the number one pick in 1996. So either way, he was the biggest basketball player in the mid-90s, right up there with the biggest, right up there with Allen Iverson, right? The point is that Antoine Walker was a good player. He got and made a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't a generational talent, right? He had a good run. He got a good contract, and that was pretty much it, right? He started hanging out with one and none only than Michael Jordan, right? So you have Antoine Walker, who you may not know. You have Michael Jordan, who you definitely know. And Michael Jordan's money is just different than everybody else's money. So you're playing and hanging out with Michael Jordan as Antoine Walker. You are in a league that you should not be playing in. So he's gambling with Michael Jordan, and it just doesn't go well because the way Michael Jordan plays is not the way you should play. And then Antoine Walker got caught up with a bunch of shitty, real estate deals in his hometown, Chicago, basically slumlord type of deals. He got scammed on real estate deals. He didn't know much. He was in his 20s thought he was, providing scaffolding and infrastructure to his wealth when he was just being sold a bunch of crap, and he was left with the bag. That's the same thing, the same analogy I'm trying to make with not all money is equal, guys. We're out here in these spaces that we've strived to be in, but we cannot behave and act like people, our counterparts. And I mean that in every way. So one, we should also take a step back when being asked to, give, participate, host, uh, because it's a different way to look at the money that is being shared or spent, right? Different money has different weight. I want to talk about this and give language to this, guys. We have to start thinking about it this way. A dollar from generational wealth is different than a dollar from your paycheck, guys. Think about the money that you make from your paycheck is different than someone's money that they have in a trust fund, right? Now, until we recognize that and understand, the gap there, right? And we were talking about scaffolding your wealth. We have to understand all of that, guys. I think about donations. Let's have a conversation about, private schools, the main line or whatever, fancy community you live in, and start getting down to understanding why we need uh, uh, not only collaboration, but education, funding, resources. All donations aren't equal, right? If I give $500 to my children's private school or at the auction or in the giving fund or whatever you have going on, it's a big difference. It is a very, very big difference from the other person, the other family that gives money from their trust fund, from their dividends, from their investment account, money that they did not work for today. It's just a big difference, right? One is given from sacrifice and one is given from surplus. And see, we're not respecting the difference. And that's what I like to talk more about, guys. I want to get more involved. Everybody wants to talk about DE&I. It's no silver bullet to just making it all right by stuffing people into these positions. And DE&I doesn't really help the people you think it helps, right? It wound up helping mostly white women anyway. So that's not the point of DE&I. Sure, do we want white women to have more opportunities than they've had in the past? Fair enough, but we gotta balance that against the opportunities they already get and have based on their family relationships and based on their natural privilege. So when I think about the language that is needed around this conversation, you have one with real, one represents real-time labor and sacrifice, and one represents a generational cushion or surplus. But people, nonprofits, organizations, politicians, parents, administrators, they all treat them as the same, and they really are not. And until we understand the differences, we'll never see how deeply this equity gap runs and why this is so much of an important conversation. We're going to be talking a lot about this in the next show. It definitely dovetails with the IXO show, guys. But I wanted to bring it up here on this morning show because it is so important for us to start to understand why we are playing in two different pools, two different ball games. We have to understand that. Even private school tuition, okay? My son, daughter sitting next to your son or daughter in that private school class is just not the same. Whereas though you have a grandparent that's paying the school directly to avoid a taxable event for you, okay, and to take the money out of the estate for grandpa and pay the kids tuition. It's a very much of a different tuition payment than me paying that alongside the same money I pay my mortgage with. So that's what I'm trying to talk about, guys. We have missed this conversation. A lot of us don't even understand it in this way or have language for it, but that's what I'm doing here in this discussion, is putting language to this discussion. And we have to start to understand it in this way, guys. Same thing here when I think about funding for small business, right? We really do need to really think about how we're getting to access capital. Small businesses should have access to capital. We need small businesses and we need entrepreneurs because the American spirit and the American dream will die if the average person cannot aspire to running and owning their own business. And the other thing, too, small businesses should have access to capital for one reason and one reason only. It fuels the national economy. All right. That's the other thing. When you think about how much it fuels what we have going on here as a country, it's amazing how much uh, the economy gets fueled by small businesses. And if you give access to capital to people that are running small businesses, naturally you're going to see the economy start to boom. There is no real good reason why people who want to start a small business can't get funding. American citizens who want to start and run small businesses lack the access to capital that they need to run it effectively. When I think about small businesses, when I think about where the money goes in a small business, it goes right back into the economy, literally. Like, I mean, you can't even do it fast enough, right? If you give small business funding, that money goes so quickly into other small businesses' hands. I need things right now. I was looking up, I saw a flyer, an ad on Instagram, and it came, I must have, they ask you about all these cookies these days. And I looked up how much it would cost to get a banner. I got to start using my screen right here to show you what I'm talking about. But anyway, a banner. I was like, all right, how much to get a banner? And they came up and they said, oh, how about you get a full tent, a whole, or, basically as if you were at a conference, the whole thing, banner, tent, pop-ups, and it was $1,750. Now, I'll do my research. Who cares at some level if, but let's just use that number as a baseline, right? If I had funding, if the government or other business, other institute, it doesn't matter. I'll get to that in a minute. I would buy that right now. I would buy that right now for two businesses. Definitely for the nonprofit, the Bridge to Life Foundation. Go check it out on Instagram, Bridge to Life at Bridge to Life Foundation. And I would buy for BirdBrand Enterprises, right? But so now that small business would get money from me. I would have money to spend. The economy rolls that way. Why are we holding money back from people who want to spend it? That's what I don't understand. Money is not that important, guys. It's just a lack of or a matter of control. Who knows? But I know for a fact that every dollar that comes into our household is going to be spent back into the economy or invested, but most likely spent. We don't even have investable dollars yet. We are running and growing a small business. We have 4 small children. We have so much happening in our family. So I'm trying to tell you, we're talking about so much here, guys. I got so much to share, right? But every dollar a small business gets is spent back into the community almost instantly. Your payroll, your vendors. You know how many vendors I have, guys? I wish you knew. I wish you knew how many vendors I have. So when I ask you to support me, guys, it really isn't even asking for money. It's asking to pay for all the stuff you see. All right? That's what you also don't understand about small business, right? Marketing. It would be great to have marketing dollars. And you know where marketing dollars are going to get spent? Right back to you. Right to you. All right? Events. You know who's going to get money for events? You. Don't you do something that provides a service to events? Right? But when small business don't have capital, we stall the economy. We keep giving bailouts and tax cuts to wealthy people, to the rich people. And I'm not saying they shouldn't get some level of tax cut, because unfortunately, what you think to be rich, it's not very rich. So if you cut it off at some level, you're going to exclude a lot of people. So here's the other thing. But my point is, We got to stop bailing out these companies. We have to stop bailing out these rich people. We have to stop doing these things and give money to actual small businesses who spend so much money keeping their business going when they're not even making that much, right? It takes them so much to be ready to serve. You know what I mean? And America has trillions of dollars, but it's locked up in the wrong hands, guys. We have to understand that. It's not about, that's what the book is about, guys. Revaluing America. I don't even want to take money from people. I just want to revalue what we're doing here. All right. The economy will light up overnight if we put money in the hands of small businesses, guys. And further, if you put the money in the hands of small businesses, they would then be able to create value, which is what we want to do, which increases GDP, decreases the American debt. If you are able to increase productivity, which is value ultimately, right? Adding value, is the most important thing. So we want to give small businesses the opportunity to add value and to support other small businesses, guys. That's where we're messing up. That's where we're really messing up. Which brings me to a nice segue into, we're giving bailouts to the wrong people, guys. Oh, man. I couldn't wait until today because, I think about this stuff throughout the night or throughout the day, and here we are. We're doing the show, and I'm just so excited to talk about this, and I'm so glad that I'm feeling good and I'm engaged because we really are giving bailouts to the wrong people, all right? I just read that Elon Musk, no shade, nothing wrong with Elon Musk, but I read that he had $500 billion or something like that, and you're just like, dude, at some level, 500 billion, not million, because I thought 500 million was a lot of money. If you gave me 500 million right now, whoa, would my life be on auto? I would be able to do more of the good work right now that I'm wanting to do, right? 500 million would just stabilize me, put my accounts into rolling mode. I wouldn't have to think much about what's here and what's there, and really set my things in the autopilot and just really give me the opportunity to start to add value in a major way. That's the only thing stopping me is capital. So 500 million doesn't necessarily change my life in the way of what would I do differently. I would do more of what I'm doing, right? I would help more people. I wouldn't leave my neighborhood. Would I change my house? Maybe, of course, right? I got 500 million. But the point is, I would still be operating from the same perspective. That's what I'm trying to explain. And we have these people with 500 billion and all these obscene numbers, and you're just like, okay, why don't we get this money into the hands of people that can use it? Like, give me some news I can use. And that's dollars, right? And that's the thing. America prints money for the wrong people. Bailouts for big banks, subsidies for billionaires. How does that even sound? Subsidies for billionaires, guys. Subsidies for billionaires, and trillions pumped into Wall Street. And that money sits. It compounds and accounts instead of circulating in communities. Meanwhile, small businesses are starved. Workers are starved. Families are starved. Not all money is equal, guys. And the way America prints it, it shows us whose money it values. And that's the whole point behind revaluing America. I'd love for you to go grab this book, guys, and check it out. One of my favorite books so far. It might be my masterpiece book. We'll see what it looks like in the future. But very much so a pivotal, seminal book of our time. And, we really need to have this discussion, guys. It's very important to think about where we're going to get funding, where we're going to get money and capital, access to resources. Very important, guys. I don't understand if you don't understand why this is important. That's why I'm doing the show. I'm doing the show so you can see me talk about how important it is. If you want to watch, great. I'm doing it either way. I'm here. All right. Every day, Don Bird Morning Show. Tune in. All right. But we have to figure out how to loose some of this money from these organizations. All right. I grew up in Southwest Philadelphia. All right. The University of Penn has $25 billion and they spend $5 billion. That's what the next show is about. They spend $5 billion a year. Now, who they spend that $5 billion with? We're doing it wrong. We're going about getting money the wrong way. We have one institution in our community that spends $5 billion a year. And we're out here robbing poor people so we can get money. Selling drugs or scamming. When you got one institution, just one institution that has a $25 billion endowment and they spend $5 billion per year, and they're spending that $5 billion with businesses, right, with vendors, where's it going? We need access. That's what the next show is about. But I'm just talking about money. I'm talking about access. I'm talking about economics. And we have to think about how much money is actually out there in these accounts that is just sitting there, guys. We're going to talk a lot about that, guys, as I move on. I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's true. We have to start thinking about it because we're here working for a paycheck while they're building generational wealth. And then the problem becomes your paycheck, first of all, isn't even a fair exchange of value. Back to the book. That's why I wrote it, right? Restoring dignity and rewarding contribution. You're not even getting a fair value, fair exchange. And then the paycheck isn't even guaranteed. So you literally are working paycheck to paycheck unless you have a serious level contract. Even high paid workers are working paycheck to paycheck at some level. So you have no equity in your work, in your income stream, right? When you think about it like that, that is, first of all, the hardest way to think about living. Generational wealth. And you think about putting those two people in the same spaces and asked to do the same things, right? I'm thinking about my private school, and our kids are there. We help sponsor fundraisers, right? We've chaired their fundraiser committee for 3 years running, or 3 years in a row. We didn't do it last year. And, it's a very big commitment, right? Time commitment, financial commitment. We're trying to raise money for the school at some level. Like, that money comes from somewhere, and it comes from the parents. Well, when you give from your paycheck, it's different because it's a sacrifice. When you give from generational wealth, it's from surplus, right? And that's why two families making the same move financially can have very completely different outcomes and impacts, right? The paycheck family is giving survival money. It's incredible when you think about it like that. And a family that has generational wealth is just shifting assets around and getting tax deductions. And until we really admit that and understand that, we'll never understand why the gap keeps widening, right? I had a situation, no shade here either, but I'm just going to give you a real life situation, right? We have our school on the main line. If you watch enough of my content, you know what school it is. I'll implore you to go watch a little bit more if you don't, but it doesn't really matter. Point is, we got a fund, a fund for the school, and the chairs of the fund for the year came out at the beginning of the year, back to school night, and said, we're going to have a 100% participation. That's the goal, is 100% participation. And it struck me, right? This is kind of where this came from. And I started thinking about this. So it's only been a month. Back to school night was less than a month ago. And I said, wow, so you want 100% participation when everyone's not coming from the same perspective, right? So you want families who are getting subsidy, who can barely afford the tuition, to give on the same playing field as a family that has, a $2.5 million house that lives in Bryn Mawr, right? And they have money, generational wealth money. You want them to give alongside. I just thought that was a little tone deaf. And see, back to what we're talking about in the next show, we need to have a little bit of less tone deaf actions. And that's what the execution office is about. But I'm not going to go into that now. That's what the next show is about. But check it out. I just wrote a white paper. It's on LinkedIn. You can download it if you want. But it's called Execution is Equity. I enjoyed reading it this morning, actually. So I read my own paper and I liked it. So you might like it. Point I'm trying to make, guys, this is a very serious topic. And I think we have to discuss it in a way that makes sense and is fair and nice and kind, but also direct and forward, right? Money has two choices, right? You can either circulate the money, which is necessary for an economy to work properly, or you can let it accumulate. And when I think about it like that, guys, when money circulates, small businesses, local economies, families, everybody eats. And when money accumulates, it's banks and billionaires, institutions that eat. They don't really eat. They just let the money come and pile up in accounts. It really just gets stuck, and it compounds for the few, but it starves the many, guys. And that's why a dollar in the hands of a worker or a small business is worth more to America than a dollar stuck in a hedge fund. Not all money is created equal. Circulation creates life. Accumulation creates walls. And that's just true. You can even think about in terms of your body and your heart and how your body works. You want your blood to circulate. And if it accumulates in one spot, it probably isn't good for you. All right? Not all money is created equal, guys. So, yes. Now, the last part of this show, guys, I want to touch on is really talking about economics. And really, I want to talk to you about a structure for daily economic education. And I want to show you how you can start to understand economics for yourself as you start to get, you think about inflation, interest rates, supply and demand, GDP, capitalism versus socialism, right? Labor versus capital. Think about inflation. Inflation is just money losing its muscle. Imagine lifting weights, but every week the bar gets heavier. Your same paycheck, less power. When interest rates go up, your mortgage and your car note, well, when you think about it set in stone, when interest rates go up, your car note actually gets less expensive on a relative basis because you don't feel the squeeze of the rates rising, right? When you think about inflation, people make it sound complicated, or interest rates, you have to understand it that way. Same thing with inflation. It sounds complicated, but if your money loses muscle, just like when you used to go to the grocery store, $100 used to fill the cart. Now barely can get one bag of groceries, right? Prices are rising faster than wages. And we have to slow that down, guys. But no, we talked about a lot today. I got a lot to share with you. I have so much to share. We're going to talk about a lot. All right, guys. But like I said, it's the Don Bird Morning Show, and I got a lot of notes here. We're gonna flush it out. I can't wait to talk to you about more. All right, stay tuned. Join me tomorrow, guys.